After menopause, we naturally lose muscle and bone because of the hormonal changes. Now add in rapid weight loss. And research suggests that about 15 to 20% of the weight lost through a rapid weight loss program or GLP-1 medications may come from lean mass, and that includes muscle. That doesn't mean these medications are bad. These medications are helping so many people who are obese, who have not been able to lose weight on their own ever. And so people are getting healthier with these medications just by losing the weight. But we have to understand there's more to the picture than a smaller number on the scale. We have to look at body composition. And it means we have to be intentional about protecting what we don't want to lose. The biggest mistake I see women making is focusing only on burning calories. Instead, we need to focus on preserving muscle while losing fat. Muscle is so important. It supports your metabolism. It supports helping to regulate your blood sugar, protects your bones, and keeps you strong enough to enjoy your life as you age versus being a small, skinny, older woman who needs somebody to take care of her because she can't support her own structure. That's a real concern. Another thing I am a little bit concerned about is that women I talk to who are on these medications will tell me, my doctor told me to just up my protein. So I'm really working on that, which is great, right? We need to have protein, and it needs to be the abundance of where our calories come from. Protein supports muscle synthesis, right? Protein muscle synthesis. Now, the trick is the word muscle is in there. So unfortunately, while eating protein is fantastic, protein works best when combined with strength training. If you're not doing any type of exercise or strength training, all the protein in the world, unfortunately, is not going to work as well as it would if you are doing certain exercise protocols to support your body using protein. So that's just something I want to bring up, because a lot of women think just by eating protein, they're, going to build muscle, but it doesn't work that way. Protein does not necessarily build muscle. You have to put in the work and strength train. So I wanted to throw that out there. And when we're talking about the best exercise strategy for this stage in life, I talk a lot about this, and especially for women on these medications or hoping to go off the medications, right? A lot of women go on this, they're great, they give them a jump start, but at some point you may be ready, or you don't like some of the side effects, so you may be ready to come off the medications. It is imperative to have a plan of action, right? A go-to strategy, a structure, a container to work within to help you to implement these lifestyle strategies like nutrition, exercise, stress management, and sleep protocols so that you can continue on your journey being the healthiest you can be, whether on the medication or not on the medication, right? We're all in this menopausal state, this journey, this amazing chapter of life, and we just have to understand that what we need is different from what we needed in our 20s, 30s, and maybe even early 40s. And so what's the best strategy for exercise? First, strength train 2 to 4 times a week. That's going to be your best bet to maintain and, keep muscle, right? We know that we have to preserve it because we're declining on that front just by going through menopause, losing estrogen, right? As the main hormone that affects us most. And then aging, right? We are going to lose muscle and bone. So we have to do some strength training of some sort, can be even body weight training, bands. It doesn't just lift heavy stuff. And just focus on simple movements, right? I talk about this a lot: squat, push, pull, a hinge, a carry, using things in your house where you can do this. Think squatting, you can do air squats, jump squats, wall sits. A pushing, you can certainly do push-ups on your counter. And a pull, yeah, great if you have a pull-up bar. But if you have some kind of a railing, you could certainly hold on to that and do some pulling. But just some basic things, 2 to 4 times a week. Maybe a circuit of that, a plank. Deadlifting is great where you're hinging from your hips forward using some kind of weight. Your muscle needs a reason to stay around or else it won't. And second, I think it is important just to reference cardiovascular exercise, right? We need this as part of our mainstay. I recommend zone 2 training. If you can get it, walking, hiking, cycling, using a weighted vest. A lot of women like that. That can be good without impact. Jogging, swimming, but a pace where you can still hold on a conversation is perfect. And I always tell people, women, because I mostly work with women, but give it some time. We call it the trial mile in running, right? But give it about 15 to 30 minutes. And it may be uncomfortable to get there, maybe 15, 20 minutes, but ride that out. Don't stop before you get into that steady state where it can feel really good. Just give it time, keep doing it, right? Consistency. And then I also recommend once or maximum twice a week to do some kind of VO2 max training. And all this can look like a short burst at a higher intensity. Some of you like to do the Orange Theory classes. That would be one thing you could do once a week where you're getting your heart rate way up there. Then you've got some recovery time, right? So you can do that running, sprinting, on a bike. Kettlebells work great for that. Battle ropes. So find what works for you and go with it. And finally, don't overlook recovery. Because without enough recovery, we can stay in that chronic stress state, right? So our body doesn't necessarily know how to differentiate good stress from bad stress, right? Exercise is a stress, eating is a stress. Certainly, we can have stressful relationships. We can have stress at work, stress with family. Stress shows up in all kinds of ways. And the difference with today and how pre-menopause before used to be, we had estrogen on board and progesterone and all the nice reproductive hormones that really protected us and gave us a buffer. We don't have that anymore. So you may think, I'm not stressed, but I don't know about you. I'll look at wear an Oura ring and I'll look at the data and it will say, wow, you had a really stressful day or your stress levels were higher today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why? But we have to do things differently now because that is the state of where we are. We are in a higher stress state just by living. And so that's where I help women bring in some tools, breath work, really going for walks out in nature, just sitting outside, sitting and reading a book, but taking space and time to just sit with yourself. Really hard to do, I know for me, but it makes all the difference. And I just think it's important to have that well-rounded exercise routine, work harder, stronger, recover, and so balancing that out is what I love to help women with, right? Put that all together in a way that works for your life. So I just want to circle back to GLP-1s. The bottom line is GLP-1 medications can be a powerful tool, but they are just that. They are a tool in your toolbox for a long, healthy life. They cannot work independently alone because we're never really, if that's the case, we're just kind of masking the problem, right? Versus getting to the root cause and really getting to the bottom of how do we stabilize on this healthy journey of life. And so, because they're not a replacement, GLP-1 medications are not a replacement for strength training, for adequate protein, for movement, and strategic recovery. And I add those all together because they fit together. It's not like strength training, okay, I got that over there, or protein. We really have to combine these together. And without these pieces, you might end up lighter and you might be losing inflammation, right? Which is great. So your markers could even be getting healthier, right? Because you're losing weight. When we lose inflammation, which is, by the way, the root cause of all disease, inflammation. I'm not making this up. This is what I've learned through the doctors that I work with, right? That's my mission, is to help women to become healthier versions of themselves by healing their insulin resistance, right? By lowering and stabilizing blood sugar so the weight can come off, lowering cholesterol and cortisol, right? Because those stress levels are what really keep us, when we're in chronic stress all the time, your body is not going to change. So these medications are doing that for you. But we also need to learn how to do it for ourselves. You can do this. And GLP-1 medications can be a tool. So my thing is, without those pieces together, the strength training, adequate nutrition and protein, movement and recovery, we won't be in that later time in life where we are more resilient. We want to be resilient. And so you deserve to be more than just a smaller number on the scale. I love Stacy Sims. She talks about this a lot. Dr. Stacy Sims, who wrote the book Roar and Next Level for Women in Menopause. Great books. But she talks about women have to stop trying to be small. We need to show up versus shrinking and shriveling away. Show up as the strong women that we are. And so just to finish up here, what I want to say is you deserve a body that moves well, that feels strong, that has energy and supports the way you want to live, right? To live, to thrive. That's possible. And so whether you're taking a GLP-1, you're considering one, or you're considering coming off of one, or you're just a woman in menopause who's a little frustrated with the way her body is responding right now, the goal is the same. Lose fat, protect muscle, build strength, because real health isn't about weighing less. It's about living stronger. And that's what I want for you. And so if this video was helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe and share it with another friend who might be struggling with some of this stuff, and maybe she'll benefit. And if you're looking for a personalized plan to lose fat and keep muscle on board and build long-term health, I'd love to help. So go ahead and check out the links below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.